What's up, you guys? It's your bro Lyrical, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Truth be told, this is my fourth attempt making this review. The reason why I've restarted my review 4 times already is because after taking some time to really think about it and to get my feelings and emotions out the freaking way and be honest with how I truly feel about the movie, I can finally review this movie without being too negative. Because I'm not gonna lie to y'all, when I first left the theater after seeing this movie, I was so disappointed for many reasons that I'm gonna get into. But it's been a few days since the movie's dropped and I feel better now. So let's talk about it. What's up, you guys? Before we get into the review, I just want to say thank you all so much for all the love and support. Y'all went crazy on that Michael Jackson reaction. I was so shocked to open YouTube Studio and see the analytics that were on my channel. I was just so hyped. Seeing all the views, everyone who liked it, and I even got to see everybody comment their favorite Michael Jackson song, and a couple of y'all even mentioned how y'all felt about the movie. So shout out to all of you guys for being amazing. One more thing I want to say before we get into the review is that I forgot to mention my ratings for this movie. And to be honest, I have 2 ratings. My first rating is based off of the actors and how they performed in this movie. Hands down, in terms of presentation, I gotta give it a 10 out of 10. It was amazing. But in terms of the story, I'm gonna give it a 6.5. And I'm gonna explain why I felt this way about the movie right now. Let's start with the pros, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. I love this movie for so many different reasons. The one thing that carried this movie to the deep end for me was 100% the actors. Nia Long, amazing. Coleman Domingo, amazing. Jafar, incredible. Jafar did an amazing job in terms of being able to play his uncle while doing that, because he never wanted to be an actor, you know what I mean? And he really wasn't a dancer like that. I mean, he does have one single out called Got Me Singing, but the choreography in that music video is nowhere near to what Michael's choreography was like. You know what I'm saying? So him having to really tap into Michael's essence and be able to accomplish that was incredible. There were certain moments where it was very difficult. It was very difficult for me to see certain parts, specifically that early Off the Wall era when he was talking to Quincy Jones. That was like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this is scary. I love the clothing, you know what I'm saying, that they chose for Jafar to wear. It was accurate. People were complaining about the beaded shirt not being the same. And people weren't really understanding that that was just a rehearsal scene. That wasn't the official music video. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the clothes that they chose for him to wear were fire. I also loved how we got to see Michael Jackson's personal side. You know what I'm saying? We got to understand how he really felt about, children in need and, animals. I thought that was very sweet. I thought it was very nice for us to see that. I also loved the performances. Motown 25 was fire. I did love the scene, how they were practicing for Beat It. I loved Human Nature. That was fire. And Bad was great. I loved Bad. He was really able to capture so much about his uncle without even trying. Like the way he would hold his face, the way he would just his stare alone. Like he was really able to capture Michael. He really was. He really was. And for all those reasons, that's why I love the movie. Now, the cons. Here's the thing. Michael Jackson is the biggest and the greatest artist to ever step foot on this earth. There's no reason why Michael Jackson, the greatest artist of all time, shouldn't have the greatest biopic of all time. Now, in terms of accuracy and performance, like I said, the acting was incredible. Cast was incredible. But the director and the producer did not fully do their job correctly for this movie. I feel like if you guys are going to make a Michael Jackson movie and y'all want to do it the right way, give us more time, bro. Because for me, it was way too short. 2 hours and 7 minutes is not enough to tell Michael's story. Me and my mom, we talked about this. We were like, Michael should have been a series. For those who have seen the New Edition story, it's literally a series. It's a series. and it gained so much success, and it's still a huge favorite. I wish that they did a big old season of Michael, and like how they did with Stranger Things, for the finale, put it in theaters. That would have been fire, and that honestly would have been better for them, so they wouldn't have to worry about how long this movie gonna be. But even if they didn't do that and they gave us a 6-hour movie, I would have been fine with it. Because here's the thing, I just feel like you can't create greatness if your process is rushed. You can't create greatness if you're forced, in a way, to release something because the fans want it or people have been waiting for this long. I wouldn't have been mad if they had us wait 3 more years for this movie to come out. As long as I know that they're going to tell the story fully and right, I would have been perfectly fine with it. You know what I'm saying? And it disappoints me because Antoine Fuqua and Graham King, if that's his name, their other projects are way better than Michael. They didn't execute this movie the way it was supposed to be. And for that reason, that's the main reason why I did not like this movie. But if you take away that and look at everything else, I love this movie. Another thing too, I feel like making a second movie is going to be unnecessary because like I don't even think the second movie is going to be long enough for them to end it off. But I will say what they should do, they should take the critics, what the critics had to say about this movie, and take it as criticism so that they can better the second movie. Because according to critics, this movie was trash. But I'm not going to lie, the critics were talking about some stuff that was not even, like, didn't even make sense. So don't listen to the critics, but still go see it for yourself if you haven't seen it. I don't know if you guys remember, but in my reaction, I wanted to see his creative process and how he figured out which songs to put on the board. When I tell you, you blink and all the songs on the board, this movie really felt like a montage. We saw a lot more vulnerability than creativity. And it's not that I didn't like that. I loved that we got to see the human side of Michael Jackson. I did. But I really wanted to see how every song was created, who had the idea, how did Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Kusa came up. Like, I wanted to see so much. I wanted them to go in depth with his creativity. And when they showed his creative side, it felt like a montage. They played his song, and then they gave you cuts and pieces of him creating it with Quincy Jones. And then even with Motown 25, like, I really wish that they went more in depth of that situation because Michael didn't want to do Motown 25. He didn't want to perform because originally it was just supposed to be the Jackson 5 performing. But Berry Gordy was like, please, Michael, please perform. And he was like, all right, I'm gonna perform, but y'all gotta give me my spotlight. Fun fact, Michael was the first black artist to perform on MTV because back then they was racist. And I'm glad that they mentioned that in the movie. But again, I just wish that they went more in depth with Michael and his story. Like Diana Ross was casted and she wasn't even in the movie. We didn't talk about The Wiz. Off the Wall went by too quick. They were speed running the heck out of this movie. And I get it. It's 2 hours and 7 minutes. But one thing about each biopic that I love, Ray, Elvis, One Love, Strata Compton, Selena, and so many more biopics that I love. One thing that these biopics all have in common, not only did the actors portray their character perfectly, they took their time telling their story. Like I said, I loved the acting and I would watch this movie again. And to be honest, I understand why Janet and why his daughter, Michael's daughter, Paris, wasn't involved with this movie. Now, when I first saw the Paris clip with no context, I was like, bro, she's a hater. But after seeing this movie, I understand. Here's the clip.
The thing about these biopics is it's Hollywood. So it's fantasy land. It's not real. But it's sold to you as real. And a lot is sugar-coated. Like, the narrative is being controlled. And there's a lot of inaccuracy and there's a lot of just full-blown lies. And at the end of the day, like, that doesn't really fly with me.
She's basically saying that it's you know, like she said, it's brought to you as Fantasyland. Everything is da-da-da-da. But you don't get the real story, the in-depth story of Michael. I really, truly believe that this movie was only released this year because fans wanted it and it was delayed 3 times. And because it was delayed 3 times, they were like, you know what? We're just going to give it to them. And if they like it, part 2. And that just wasn't the way to go. That wasn't the way to go. For me, it wasn't. I didn't like that. When I saw the Michael Jackson 1 show, it moved me after watching it. When I saw it with my mom, it was for my 15th birthday. I will never forget it. It was probably the most amazing music experience ever. Leaving Michael versus leaving Michael Jackson 1 were 2 completely different feelings. When I left Michael, I was disappointed. When I left Michael Jackson 1, I was inspired. If you guys have seen my outro, that picture is literally me standing in front of the Michael Jackson wall. So yeah, I'm a huge fan, you know, and I really did feel some type of way about, you know what I'm saying, the movie. But again, in the end, it was still a great movie for what it was. If you're not a huge Michael head, you're gonna love this movie. I know music on a different level because of the gift that God gave me, and I'm a huge Michael head. So this hit me personally. That's why I have so much to say. So yeah, that's my review. I'm officially done. Also, thank you guys so much for the support. Like, y'all went crazy on the Michael Jackson reaction, and I really appreciate that. Clap it up for y'all. I really appreciate y'all for what y'all did. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to your boy, and turn on all the post notifications so you never miss a video in the future. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, y'all.